guess what you found? You found Lesko Free Radio. And we got a great show today. And we're really all about helping people, improve their lives and improve the life of your community. And we have great guests today. So in about 60 seconds, we'll be right back. But they never seem to get solved because they always wind up costing more money. But it doesn't have to be that way if you learn how to use the system. There are thousands of government programs that will help you with your financial problems for free. Don't pay for someone to help you with your debt or mortgage problems when you can get it for free. Don't pay for someone to help you with your business or invention if you can get that for free. Don't pay for career counseling or resume writing. Don't pay for healthcare or prescription drugs. And don't pay for going back to school if you can get that for free too. You know all about the people out there who are charging you thousands of dollars to help you with your financial problems because they're spending millions on advertising. What you don't know about is the free services from the government because they don't spend a nickel on advertising. But I can show you how to find them. So why not use the free stuff first? Isn't it dumb to pay for something that you could get for free? Thanks for tuning in to Lesko Free Radio. I hope you enjoy this show because I enjoy doing it. And if you want to learn how to start using these programs, listen, I set up a free webpage called UncleLesko.com. You can go there right now and download the 5 best grants just for your state. So that's UncleLesko.com. Go there now, get the 5 best grants for your state, and start taking advantage of the stuff now. You know why? Because it's free. Also, we're going to take your calls later on the show and answer your questions. We'll answer anything. Man, I could show you a source of money and free help to do almost anything you want to do in life. So what you do is you call 202-643-9006. That's 202-643-9006. And if you don't get through for some reason or the show time runs out, you can always send an email. Boom, did I say that right? Email me at leskofreeradio@gmail.com. That's leskofreeradio@gmail.com. So we want to answer your questions. So call or write. Oh, please. God, I'm sick of me screaming already. I don't know if you're still there after all that. Well, we have great people today. We have some guests. We may even have fresh frozen guests. We have 2 live studio guests. People are very expert in getting government grants. People work in the government. These are the people that actually help you get the grants and everything. So it's not some huckster like me, who's making money off of telling you how to get grants. They do this for a living and are paid for by the government to do this. So they're very special people. And we're going to have them. But first, we have Shane Shepard on the line. I hope he's still on the line. I don't know if you remember Shane. Last week he was on, and he also does the iGrant app. And if you could show the iGrant app, because I'm a little involved with this too. But he's a great guy, knows a lot about one of the few people I found that really, again, is not a huckster and really knows his stuff about it. And he told us last week about how your nonprofit or community could get 20 workers for free from the government to work for you all year for free. And actually, he did this last year or the year before. And one of those workers actually was smart enough to find out how to get him $200,000 more for his, in extra grants to work for him. So, Shane, are you there?
I'm here.
Wonderful. Yeah. So what's the good news you're going to tell us about today?
Well, I think today we're going to talk about revolving loan funds. And that's a fund. Well, we're going to talk a couple things. It's basically a fund that helps out businesses for their capital expenses and that sort of stuff.
Oh, this is the low interest loans for small business and startup, but this is for small towns. Is that right, Shane?
Well, right. So there's the RBEG grants, Rural Business Entrepreneurial Grants through the USDA. That's for towns of 50,000 or less.
Uh-huh.
And a city or an economic development corporation or a nonprofit that's set up to help businesses would apply for this grant of about $100,000, and then they would get the grant from the USDA, and then they would loan out this money to businesses at whatever terms and rates that they want to.
So in other words, I mean, I guess traditionally this money is used for like small businesses or startups that really can't get money anywhere else, and this is why this government program is available that gives it to this nonprofit or a local community to give it at a very favorable interest rate to these small businesses, right?
That's right. In fact, we had one business in town where I used to work at that we gave them a 1% loan for 20 years.
A
which is unheard
1%?
of.
A 1% loan for 20 years?
Yes.
What? Wait, you think Capital One is going to do that for you?
Yeah. Well, and so what had happened is that once the organization gets this money, you have to spend it within 3 years, and if you don't, you have to send it back to the federal government.
Ah, I see.
Well, at this specific one, the business kind of knew that we had to either choose him at those rates and those terms, or we had to give it back. So we got him a really good deal.
I see. So you had to get rid of the money, right? And he was the only one in line, so to speak.
Right.
Oh, wow.
That is correct.
Well, that's a bad problem for you, but a nice problem for the entrepreneur, right?
That's right. And as the money is returned back to the organization or to the city, the federal hands are off. They're not tracking it anymore.
I see.
And so ideally you would keep the revolving loan fund going, but if you had other projects, you could spend money from this account on the other projects.
So, but it sounds like you're telling me that a lot of communities now have this money they got one time from the government, this revolving loan fund money. It's sitting in their coffers. They lend it out. The money comes back, and they could lend it out again to new entrepreneurs, correct?
That is correct. And now that doesn't matter if it's a smaller town or not. There's a lot of large cities with revolving loan funds.
So these revolving loan funds could be in any city around the country, and it'd be wise for an entrepreneur to go searching for the local revolving loan funds from the government. Where would they go to find those?
All right, so the best place to start looking at is go to Google, type in your city and Economic Development Corporation. And most cities have those corporations already set up.
Right.
And then contact that Economic Development Corporation and ask them if they have one. And if they do, try to get an appointment.
Wow. So this is, and it's particularly, most of the times it's set aside for, as we said, like small businesses or startups that really can't get money elsewhere, right?
Right. Or, in other cases, is that a lot of banks, they'll fund 80%. I believe there's an SBA loan that will fund up to 80% of a project. Right. The problem is that additional 20%, and a lot of entrepreneurs do not have that 20%.
Right.
So this money can be used for what's called gap financing, and the business will get the 20% from the revolving loan fund, which matches 80%, so the project's 100% financed.
Ah, well, that's a real neat thing. So this is something you could use for the 20% down you need for the SBA, huh?
Yeah, that's correct, yes,
Wow.
And usually it takes a second lien, which means that a lot of times you have to have collateral for a loan, and so this 20% can be for the same collateral, but it's just a second lien to that collateral.
Well, God, I mean, there's always more than one way to skin a cat, isn't there? So when you go to the SBA, they say, well, you need to have 20% of this money yourself. And you say, God, my pockets are empty. I can't. You go to this revolving loan fund, get that because they're more lenient, I guess, in giving money. And now you got your 20%. You put together the deal, and you're in business.
That's right. That's exactly right. And, talking about being more lenient, a lot of banks will give you a loan based on collateral or credit and that sort of stuff. And some revolving loan funds may do that, but a lot of them will also do it based on if it's a good idea or if the person has good character or that sort of stuff.
Oh, good character. So that's not me.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's wonderful. And so next week, give us we talked about doing something next week, too. So give us a little teaser on what you're going to share with us next week.
All right. Well, there's another program out there, and this is by the USDA also. And if you're at a certain income level and you live in a substandard house or what the government might consider a substandard house, they'll pay to tear down your home, give you a place to stay at while they build you a brand new home.
Wow.
Then you move in. Then you move into this new home, and if you're there for 5 years, you own the home.
Wow. So they tear down your old home, build you a new one, and all you have to do is make sure you stay there 5 years, huh?
That's right.
Oh, great. Well, give us the details next week. And Shane,
right,
thanks
will
for
do.
being there.
Thank you,
You're a
Matthew.
good man. And it's iGrantApp.com, right? And the iGrant, I know I'm part of this, but it's a great little item, and what's like $2.99 or something like that. It's an iGrant price. Huh?
Yeah, Matthew, it's $1.99 right now.
Oh,
and
$1.99 special today for you
right,
only.
the two grants that we have talked about, there's applications that have been funded on that app.
Wow. So if you want to know what those applications like, they're on the app. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Shane. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning into Lesko Free Radio. I hope you enjoy this show, because I enjoy doing it. And if you want to learn how to start using these programs, listen, I set up a free webpage called UncleLesko.com. You can go there right now and download the 5 best grants just for your state. So that's UncleLesko.com. Go there now, get the 5 best grants for your state, and start taking advantage of the stuff now. You know why? Because it's free. Me and the... Ah, we're back, and we got studio guests, real live guests. Can we get a wide shot and get the guests in here? Yeah, I mean, it's a real coup, I think, to get these guys in here to take not only their Sunday, but their time at all to share with everybody. And, you know, I think they're special because there's so much misinformation about grants out there, you know, and especially, and I guess hucksters like me are part of the problem. But what people have to know is the real deal about this. Let me show the groups that they're involved with. We get the guy, the techie back there to show who they're with. Mark Smith. He's the one in the glasses, the cuter guy.
Don't believe it. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype.
Okay, he's with the Humanities Council of Washington. We get that picture up of Mark, and he's the director of projects. That's not Mark. It looks. Oh, there's Mark. Well, actually, that's not Mark, but that's his website there.
Absolutely.
And he's the director of grants and special projects at the Humanities Council of Washington. Okay, now Mark is originally from Detroit, came here to Howard, went back to Detroit, was going to turn around that city single-handedly, and I guess he almost did it, came back, and he worked for a councilman here, so he knows constituent services. We'll do a show on that. People don't know how valuable constituent services are. He worked for a councilman there, then worked on the real estate office at the city government here, and he actually worked for the mayor. And right now, he's director of grants and special projects and Humanities Council of Washington. We'll get to him. And next to him is Lafayette Barnes. Now, isn't that a great name, Lafayette?
Thank you, my brother. I like that.
That's great. Now, Lafayette, let's show his website. I don't think his picture is on it either, but
I'm afraid to show my picture to too many people.
I just you got creditors out there like I do. Right? Well, no, I don't think that Lafayette. That's not even him in the corner up there.
Well, that's the mayor.
That's the mayor, right? Mm-hmm. Now, this is a very special office, and most states have them. That helps you get a grant. I mean, that's my understanding, right, Lafayette?
That's right,
yeah.
that's right.
And Lafayette has a wonderful background. He could eliminate a lot of mysteries about grants for us today. How to get them? Do you need lawyers? Do you need help? Or what kind of help is available out there? What kind of grants are available? Where do you find grants and things like that? Who's eligible? Who's not? What do you do when you fail and don't get the damn thing? All these kinds of things. Because to me, the biggest problem is there's hucksters out there, and I'm probably part of the blame, that are getting a lot of money from people because they just don't know the facts. Now, here's another thing that happened. Let me show the next slide we have here. I went and Googled before I came on the show, grants. Now, I don't know if you can see this. We can't too well. But it shows you there's 146 million websites if you put in the word grants.
Mm-hmm.
So the average uninitiated person out there says, "Oh, I could find anything, and I'll just go on the web and put in grants." You're not going to live long enough, are you?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And who's on the front page there? Hucksters trying to sell you something.
That's right. Right.
So now you're going to say, after 4 or 5 pages, you're pulling your hair out. You don't know what to do, and you're going to call one of these people, give them money, and hopefully solve your problem. You won't. You start all over again in another week or two.
That's true.
So we got the horse's mouths, I could say, so to speak, here, to help us figure out. Mark, let's start with you. What kind of grants we got over at the Humanities office? I mean, humanities sounds like something I didn't do well in school.
Well, humanities, is really the story of what we do. So, we put it in terms of arts and humanities. Like the artwork is, a visual representation, but what we fund is the story behind the artwork. So, why is that artwork important? Why is that artist important? What relevance does it have to this area? So we fund that part of the artwork. So it's really the story. So we're interested in stories about people, about places, really primarily for DC.
So you're for humanities in the DC area?
Absolutely, absolutely. So all of our grants go to fund things that are a benefit to Washington D.C. residents.
Now, but there's something similar in most every state, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a Humanities Council in every state, and also in Guam and Puerto Rico. So
really?
There's a Humanities Council everywhere.
And is it for individuals or just nonprofits, or who
well,
does money go to?
For ours, it's really for organizations, nonprofit organizations. But as an individual, you can get a sponsor. If you go to a church or you have a local civic association and they can sponsor you and they're a 501c3, then you could use them to carry out your project.
Like an example, what would be?
One thing that we had come through last time was a genealogy. I'm sorry.
It's the same to me. Tell you.
It was basically a historical record of a small area in D.C. called Truxton Circle. So the Civic Association served as a sponsor for the woman who wanted to actually do the project. So she did a house-by-house history of every house within that neighborhood. So each person can go in there and find out who lived in their house, when it was built, any building permits, what the people did, all the way back to 1840.
So, I mean, if you're interested in genealogy and you've been living in this neighborhood for a long time, then you got to bring it, hey, maybe I get money to document the whole genealogy of my neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm not a nonprofit, so you go to the local
civic association
anybody,
or your church or
anybody who's a nonprofit and say, hey, let me do the paperwork. And you give them a little bit of money, keep them quiet, or
Well, we actually wouldn't pay for that administrative fee, but it doesn't even necessarily have to be a organization that's based right here in D.C. It could be your church in California or something like that. As long as the project goes to benefit D.C. residents, then it's a great project for us.
Wow, that's terrific.
Absolutely.
And is your budget growing, shrinking? Everybody hears about budget cuts.
Well, of course, our budget is shrinking. We are, a part of the, we get most of our funding from the National Endowment for Humanities, but we also get some local funding from the district government. And also private funding from our board and fundraising. But, most of our budget comes from the federal government through the National Endowment for Humanities. And, we've seen their budget shrink over these past couple years, so our budget has shrunk as well.
I find sometimes that when people talk about budget cuts in this town, fewer people apply because they think it went all away or something. We think that people aren't smart enough to view the detail, and the people who have the money or were hoping to get the money, they scream so loud you think that they're gone.
We've actually seen an increase in
really
applications.
wonderful.
So we're really happy with that. And it helps us to justify why it's important and how we advocate for more resources to give to the community.
Well, it seems, at least to me, it's who's going to take care of the soul, of our community. Everybody else is, trying to work on crit jobs and crit them, but who's taking care of the soul?
That's true. That's true.
And I get arts, humanities, things like this is as a culture. Somebody's got to do this. Well, it's great. Now, I got some examples. I want to give more, but let's get over to Lafayette. So, Lafayette, now you got a bigger mandate, it sounds like. You're not just, for history lessons or anything like that.
Well, we all work together, and we're happy to work with the organization. But our Office of Partnerships and Grant Services, of course, we're part of the local government, part of the Executive Office of the Mayor. So our clients are pretty much D.C. residents in the sense that they're nonprofit organizations, they're government organizations, faith-based organizations. And so we provide information about different types of grants, not only local district government grants, but also federal grants. And I know you talk about those a lot. And we also talk about foundation grants. Despite the economy, even though there is a downturn, I mean, the District of Columbia in this region is actually doing fairly well. You probably heard that we just, our surplus for this year, we've discovered about $400 million.
$400 million discovered.
Yeah, I know. we're gonna have to get you a new coat. But we take that.
I gotta go through my pockets.
Yeah,
again,
we take that money and we put it into our overall rainy day fund. So thanks to the mayor and his leadership, we have about $1.5 billion.
Okay.
All that's not for grants now, but it will help to keep the city afloat, particularly in these times.
Your office, do you give money or just help people get money?
So our office is not a grant-making office. We're sort of a development shop, and so every week we publish the funding alert. Which is a great, I think, publication for your audience and for all folks who are looking for grants, because it lists federal opportunities, foundation opportunities, and district government opportunities. I think last year we probably listed, something like $800 million of grants, all competitive grants. And so you're right, there are opportunities out here, and people need to know how to apply for those grants. So we provide some capacity building support as well. At the same time,
capacity building support.
Capacity building support.
Jargonish there. What does that mean?
So that means basically trying to show folks how to find grants, either whether it's grants.gov, federal grants, or whether it's looking at our website or learning about the foundation community. We have a very nice common grant application so that all of the foundations have one grant application that when folks apply for, they can use that same format. So in working with the foundation community, we try to educate our folks about that process. The other thing that we do is from time to time we have workshops on how to write grants. And one last thing, as you talked about these folks who take advantage of our community, not only in the district but all over the country. Often there are folks who are actually scamming folks about grant opportunities. And because we're in the District of Columbia, from time to time, we'll get calls from folks in Iowa or Rhode Island or Georgia saying, look, I just got some information on the internet that I've won a grant, and all I have to do is just send $400, and I'll get my grant. And so on our website, when people go to the website at www.opgs.dc.gov, OPGS.dc.gov. They'll see all the information that we're talking about, but we also have a link to report grant scams. So we want people to know how to address those issues so they won't get taken. And, we want to help people. We don't want people to get hurt in this process. Yes.
We have let me show Eric a thing. I got something from his website I want to share with people. Listen, I mean, you have a great database there, too. I went through the database.
Oh, thank you.
That's the next one. No, that's Mark's. Let's do it. Okay, let's go, Mark. Mark, I see some of the items that you have.
Sure.
While we're there, they were interesting to me. I mean, like poets, can get money from the government?
Yeah, absolutely. As long as they're, relaying a certain point of DC history or DC culture, that's what we really want to capture. One thing we do is try to promote cross-cultural understanding. So we think through words is how you really do that. So.
And then I saw another one that interested me. A community of gardeners film screening.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a really important aspect of DC culture. I mean, we have a huge gardening culture. So the film kind of explores why gardening is important and how you can kind of take advantage of some of these unused spaces and really turn them into something else.
I looked a little bit at their film. It was sort of like rooftop gardens and stuff like that. So growing vegetables on your roof, huh?
Absolutely.
And DC authors, and I'm sure you don't know all these things. Like you say, what's in my book? I have no idea what's in my book.
But that DC authors houses, what it was what it is, I should say, is a website that kind of profiles all the important authors of DC and kind of gives a map of where they lived at, the books they did, and why they were important.
Now I have a condo in Adams Morgan. I don't know if I'm on there.
You might need to get on there. I mean, I think it's important. Put you on the map there.
Well, Mac, what do you think is Mark the misconception people have about you? I mean, besides that, I can make one phone call and get a check in the mail next Thursday. We know that. That's a misconception, but
well, we as a Humanities Council, we act as a first funder for a lot of groups. So we fund our grants aren't huge. They're not going to cover your operating expenses, but what they can do is provide you another aspect of your organization or another project that you've been wanting to do as a part of your organization.
So it looks like $1,500 to $5,000 or something like that.
Yeah, it's $1,500 for a small grant. We have also this year.
So how tall you have to be for that?
Well, it's for smaller projects or aspects, kind of a smaller research into a larger project. So if you needed to do some research into making a book, but just needed a $1,500 for the initial startup of the research. But we also have commemorative grants.
Commemorative?
Yeah.
Like you forget something?
Well, yeah. I mean, we have the March on Washington coming up next year. The Emancipation Proclamation is this year. So, for people who want to do projects in that area, we have a grant up to $2,000. And then we have the larger grant, which is $5,000. And that's for, something that you want to do this year. And, you have about a year to get all the projects done.
Now, we talked a little bit about, he has helped to help you with grants, but do you have help too to help with grants?
Yeah, absolutely. We do about 15 workshops throughout the year. And this year we've actually instituted a best practices workshop. So to show you how to do videography, how to do oral history, how to digitally preserve media, so your photographs, your correspondence, stuff like that. So kind of digitizing that stuff so it can be safe for the future.
Are the seminars, they charge?
No, they're free.
Free!
Sorry. Since we're talking about ways to educate folks about how to apply for grants, how to find grants, how to network with other organizations so that they can collaborate around grants, one of the things that we do every year, we have a public-private partnership conference. It's a regional conference, so people from D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, they come and they spend the day together sharing what we call best practices, and that basically means how do we work together to make this thing work. And so
who attends? People that are looking for money attend?
We have a variety of folks. We have grant seekers, nonprofit organizations. Right. We have funders from the federal government, foundations, the district government as well. And this year we're having our conference at the World Bank.
At the World Bank?
At the World Bank.
What is it?
That's going to be on June the 7th. June 7th, that's a Friday.
So it's a World Bank.
That's going to be at the World Bank.
Anybody who's interested in learning the grant system,
they can come and find out about how to partner, not only with the Office of Partnerships and Grant Services, but the Humanities Council as well, and how we can, because this region, we're very fortunate that we have a very strong philanthropic community. Right. We have a very strong service provider community. And so we just got to figure out how to work together so we can get these folks connected. Go ahead.
But, I mean, most of the people I think that we're talking to are people, looking how to get into this business.
Gotcha.
And get some of the money. So they're not going to be another organization. But when you say partnership, I think like so many times, like Wendy's sitting over there, the lady I live with, she's a nonprofit. And partnerships to her is like working with somebody else who's also looking for a similar money to come to a group like marks, so they have a twofer.
Yeah.
It makes a stronger appearance. Is that what you mean by partnership?
That's what I mean. Let me give you an example. My wife and I, we've been partnering for almost 30 years now, and
business,
sometimes partnerships sometimes partnerships are a little difficult, right? So what we try to do is not only get people together, but give them some of the skills to learn how to work together so they can stay together, because as you know, some funders are requiring, we won't go into your personal life right now, but some funders are requiring that people work together in partnerships or in a collaboration to get the money. And sometimes it helps us sustain the programs.
Right.
When I heard you talk about some of the green activities that are going on in Washington, D.C., we're very fortunate that we have a very strong green city. So to have gardens on the roof and other programs, but we need to figure out how can we get the gardeners to work with the sellers, so we can bring fresh fruits to the district government. We still have some areas in the city that are called food deserts.
Right.
So we can get people to partner so they can bring good, healthy foods to our communities.
So when you say partner, in other words, you would find maybe a grower, somebody wants to grow vegetables in the city, and then somebody else who needs the vegetables that are grown there.
It depends on what the funder wants, but that's certainly an example of what we mean when we say partnering. Right. So
and then help them find a source for that funding.
Exactly.
To do it.
Exactly. And typically, as I said, our sources of funding would support not individuals per se, but 501c3s, community-based organizations, and faith-based organizations that are doing what we call secular work and not sacred work. And you know what the difference of that is. I mean, we can't use the money we can't use the money to preach what we do. We have to use the money to show the service that we're providing.
Right. Now, but if you're an individual, then and you want to, I'm trying to aim at people that see problems in the neighborhood, and so how do I get this problem solved? We have kids running around that need help. We got whatever the hell it is. And that the best because at least for your office, you don't work with individuals, but to find a group to work with so they can go to their local church or whatever and say, hey, I'm going to go down to the mayor's office and figure out how to get money for us.
Well, it happens anyway because we're government and we're paid by tax dollars, so we have a responsibility to serve our residents, whether they're 501c3s or individuals. But ideally, when it comes to actually applying for the grant, we want to prepare them so that they're eligible. Because we don't want them to waste their time applying for a grant and they're not eligible. And we don't want people to take advantage of them. Because there are a lot of people, if I can just say this quickly, who say that they can write grants, but they can't even write a letter to the Girl Scouts. No offense against the Girl Scouts, please. I love the Girl Scouts, but you know what I'm talking about.
Amen somewhere over here.
I guess I'm gonna be in trouble now.
But because I've been doing this so long, I mean, when people say grants, they're not talking about your kind of stuff, unfortunately. There are people in financial trouble.
Yes.
And so that's a different area. It's not even a grant they're looking for. And actually, I don't know if you know this data, 80% of the free money that the government gives out is not even called grants.
Okay. Okay. What's it called?
I mean, if you need a job or you need something or your house fixed, I mean, you're going to get a grant for it, but it's not. It's called something else.
Yes, that's right.
Whether it's a direct payment or some other kind of thing, they'll give you the training. So that's right, and that's unfortunately, I think, what most of those people need.
Absolutely.
More than a grant.
Absolutely.
And so they go to some huckster and say, "Hey, I want to get a grant." Say, "Well, you know how to write a grant?" No. Well, give me $5,000 and I'll show you.
And that's why on the Office of Partnerships and Grant Services website, we put information about grant scams because we feel bad about people who are just trying to make ends meet week to week, day to day, and these folks come up to them and they take advantage of them. And so they can come to our website and at least get some information to help them. Right. If I might just say one more quick thing about the district as it relates to grants, our mayor just held his State of the District address last week. I guess President Obama is going to have his this week.
Right.
But one of the things that the mayor talked about is the creation of a one city fund. And in that fund, he's going to ask the council to approve $15 million in grant money, competitive grant money, for district nonprofits up to $100,000 for each of those grants. And so that's another way that the city is trying to partner, if you will, with our nonprofit community so the nonprofits can serve our residents, so the residents can get the support that they need, and maybe one day they'll want to start a nonprofit. But let me just say one more thing and then I'll be quiet. I
don't think so.
I really think. Well, I'm trying to be. I'm trying to be like. I need to get your jacket. Now, so next time I'll have a green one on. Okay, but some people would argue that there are too many nonprofits, and they're competing against each other. Yeah. Every day somebody's starting a nonprofit, and we don't have to have nonprofits to serve out. We can do it individually, or nonprofits can learn to work together. Right. And so one of the things we're trying to do in partnership or collaboration is to get these organizations to work together. And the One City Fund that the mayor introduces one way that we can continue that work. Yeah. So let me be quiet.
Let me show the. I got some slides from his website. I want to show on the. Let's see what there. I lose it. No, go down. Not that one.
That's not my website.
No, that's Mark's. The next one. What do we have? Okay, that. Now I did a search. On your website.
Okay.
Great stuff.
Okay.
Man, I mean, you don't need my book. You don't need the web.
There you go.
You just go to his website. And you got it all.
Thank you.
Go to the next slide. I'll show you some of the neat programs I found there.
Wow.
Look at. There's a program for, golf. I'm a golfer, right?
That's right.
Well, that's a program that's on his website. It helps you, shows you how to find it. That you get I think it's like $15,000 to help people with disabilities learn golf. Man.
Absolutely.
I mean, you want to do something in your neighborhood? You want to, help somebody in your golfer? This is a way to do it.
That's right.
And now your point is that, okay, if you're not a nonprofit, and maybe this only goes to nonprofit, I forget what it is because you have all kinds of stuff in
Yes.
it, right? So if it goes to nonprofit, there's a way to work with a nonprofit to do this. Okay, give me the next one. Here's another one I sort of like too.
Wow, I didn't know we had all that on our website.
Yeah. No, it's like me reading my book. I never read the bloody thing. Too big. I mean, there's 500 programs that are coming up to apply for right now. So if you go to Google, you got 150 million you got to shift through. Here's only 500. They'll tell you when to apply and how. Okay, this is for $500 for kids to grow a garden.
There you go.
So you have kids. You want to learn about fresh food and garden and stuff like that.
Healthy kids.
I thought $500. Yeah, and I think it's somebody. I forget if it.
Kids gardening. It looks like
who is it? I can't read it. But it's a organization. Either
Kids Gardening is their website. So
Kids Gardening, but they're talking about it, and I don't know if it's one of the food chains doing this or somebody like that. But it's money, man. Money for you to make a difference and do something. Show us the next one there, Eric.
This is great stuff you got on your site.
I got great guests, man. This is your stuff. I'm just stealing it.
Planet Dog Foundation. That's okay.
Making money on what you get for free.
There you go.
Planet Dog Foundation. Now, this was great. I got a guy call me up. This is what he wanted to do down in Virginia. He said he wanted to train dogs for vets coming back.
Okay.
This is service dogs.
Yes.
And he just needed a little startup money or something. He's got a friend who has some farm out there. He's great with dogs and wants to do this to give them free to vets coming back. $7,500. It's right there on your site.
And if folks would just go to the website, regardless of where you live, and I know our primary customers are Washington, D.C., but sign up for the funding alert. It comes out every week, and you'll be able to get that information.
Because these are national programs.
Some are national, some are local, some are regional.
Some are national.
So they're probably in your neighborhood.
A lot of them that are local are also in the other communities too. Because I saw you had like Vista or whatever that we talked about.
All
the
federal grants
exactly.
typically
All the federal, they'll be somewhere else.
Absolutely.
So you have a place. To search these things. That's why there's a terrific database. Somebody's selling you databases about grants, and I even got one, but
well, yours is okay. You
well, he's here.
You're tried and true.
You don't want to be charged for all that nice food back there. But it's important. I mean, this is where I steal from, and that's why I don't know if I told you my first New York Times bestseller was I went down the GPO, took a book, cut and pasted it.
I saw that. I was up late one night, about 3 o'clock in the morning. I saw this guy making all this noise.
That's right.
My mom definitely had the set,
Yeah. Now, one thing I'm curious about too, what do you guys think about, Kickstarter? Now, actually, it's more like Kickstarter is more in the humanities kind of program for a source of funding. Do You have any thoughts on that, or it's not on your radar screen much?
Yeah, not necessarily Kickstarter, but we've had grantees who have not only come to us for funding, but also have done a Kickstarter campaign, and it's really helped them.
So they do both. They come to you, and they go to Kickstarter. Or
absolutely,
whatever.
absolutely.
So it's not an either or.
No,
you don't
definitely.
care if people get money somewhere else.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. Absolutely not. I mean, you can
you have
have
any extra.
I wish I did. But we do have 3 grant cycles throughout the year. So, and for this particular cycle, we're offering 3 different grants. So for our major grant, which is up to $5,000, the application is going to be due on Monday. But we have 2 other grants that are going to be due on March 11th.
March 11th. We got 2 weeks to do that. Yeah. I mean, do you need? I mean, if I get that application, oh my God, I can't.
No. It's really easy. We try to make the applications.
What's that? The grant application is easy.
Yeah, we try to make it easy. We try to make it simple. You can apply online.
Really? Wow.
So it's we're not requesting your whole life history, but we want to have a good understanding of who you are and what you want to do with the funds.
So you think the average person could do this?
Absolutely.
And if they can't, they get help from you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always available. If you want to talk about an idea, or you actually want to discuss your plans and things like that. So I'm available through my email at msmith@wdc.
msmith@wdchumanities.org. msmith@wdchumanities.org. Right?
Or by phone at 202-387-8391.
Wow, 202-387
8391.
8391. Great. Lafayette, there's one thing I want to touch base with you is the surplus property stuff.
Okay.
Now, do you handle, the government's trying to get rid of buildings or something, and you could give them away, or it's just old computers, or you handle that stuff too?
Not directly, but there's information on our website about surplus property. So, for example, one of the things that comes up in the District of Columbia a lot is what about the surplus schools or buildings that the district now has control of because maybe the existing properties were consolidated. So our Department of General Services, on their website, they have information about how to obtain a school, but it's difficult. A lot of people think, well, I just need a school, but they also need money to operate that school, and it's pretty expensive. I mean, they're talking $8 million plus for a whole building. But then we also have information on our website about whether the World Bank or the International Monetary Funds has surplus computers or other equipment that they want to give away. And then, fortunately, we can refer folks to the federal government, GSA, right down in Springfield, Virginia, and they have a wonderful facility down there. In fact, I got some stuff in my office.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had to take advantage of that, too. But
now, it's free if you're a nonprofit?
It's free if you're a nonprofit, or if you're a government, you can go down there. And there's a warehouse. You tag the information. We got some really nice office furniture. So we do.
So if
have
you're a
that
nonprofit, I mean, and I assume this is in every state too. And in your state, I guess you have the estate.
Yeah.
Well, we are a state. We want to be a state now.
That your office is a clearinghouse for that, huh?
We have information on the website about it.
I think
we have a lot of stuff on our website.
I think that's a great thing to do. Well, let me ask you another thing. Send me a slide about MOOC. You know what MOOC is?
I'm not familiar with MOOC.
See,
MOOC?
What's the acronym for MOOC?
MOOC.
Massive off and online courses.
Massive offline courses. MOOC. Now, I ran a thing last week on the show.
Okay.
That there's like 1.5 million, or there's 2.5 million people taking courses from. You're a Harvard grad, right? From Harvard, University of Pennsylvania, the real professors, free online. Wow. And there's a hot thing, Coursera, but and what they said, the one in Harvard, I think it's xed.org. That's Harvard and MIT and everything. The course at MIT for Introduction to Circuits, they had, I forget how many, hundreds of million or... no, it can't be a million. Hundreds of times. But more people took that introduction course in the last 8 years around the world than had ever graduated from MIT.
Wow.
So you could take an MIT course for free right now.
Absolutely.
From Harvard, from everywhere, from dozens and dozens of courses. Now, the problem with it is accreditation. Okay, so what are you going to do? You just learned something. Oh, God, I'm just going to learn? Where's the currency in that? I think that's valuable, but a lot of people don't. But now they start accrediting it.
Beautiful.
So there's now like 5 or 6, Duke, University of California, and University of Pennsylvania. Now there's an extra fee for the accreditation because they got to do it. But it's $150 for the course about that for the accreditation. But I mean, to go to the University of Pennsylvania is $50K a year.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So you can get the same course, now with a credit. And I think there's going to take. I mean, I think you're talking about the mayor getting money from the White House for the district. I was just reading the White House is also put in he's got $18 million to study this because this seems like, I mean, higher education has been ripping us off for a few years now, and that we got to get our folks educated, and you could get the best courses in the world now for free.
You're right on in terms of the marketplace has really changed as it relates to education.
Yeah.
Think about it. I'm taking a French class right now, and vous parlez français?
No,
Not
but
today, okay.
ni hao.
And I have an app on my
really?
iPhone that I can practice French with.
Yeah,
I would
I'm
have
doing
never-
the Chinese.
You know what I'm
Well, I'll
thinking?
tell you what, I got a grant to take a Chinese course.
Beautiful.
Yeah, actually, it's over.
Send me the information.
I'll give it to you. No, give it to you free. Yeah, at the George Mason University.
Oh, wow.
China has Confucius Institutes around the country
Okay.
at all the major universities, and the course I paid like $150 for the course. Beautiful. I mean, if I go on campus, it's gonna be like $3,000 or something like that. And there's only 6 of us in a room like this with a Chinese person right off the plane, teaching us. It's just the neatest thing I've ever done.
is.
And learning like that. I mean, that's when I see. You're not as old as me yet, but I'm fighting like Alzheimer. I mean, man, that's worse. I run every day trying to stay in shape. Both you guys are in shape. Yeah.
You look like you're in pretty good shape to me.
Yeah, but that's running for 40 years.
Okay.
But now it's the brain I'm more worried about it.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think of what's the hardest thing I could do with the brain. Learn Chinese.
That'll do it right there.
It's a little more difficult than crossword puzzles, right?
Let me show you the next slide here. Okay, I found a neat program. Now, maybe the humanities folks may be interested in this. You got the respite care. I mean, there's another issue that's going on. Okay, we have 67 million people providing care to loved ones. 67 million. I mean, and it's worth about $450 billion. That's about what we spend on Medicaid. So this is what the labor we have in this country doing to take care of folks in the home. Now, I found a program at the, it's actually in Virginia. Most states have some kind of Medicare. See, I think what is the problem in caring for anybody? Like I used to help the people at CCNV, here.
Yeah.
And years ago, and I
Great
said,
program.
right. And I said, it's not the inmate. Who's taking care of the caregivers? So, I mean, because if we don't have people taking care of these people, that's when we're really screwed, right? So now there's programs around the country called respite care services. And this one in Virginia, you get like $400 for a family. So that who's ever taking care of mom or a relative or something could hire somebody for a few days, take a break, get some relief. Let's just show this video. So I wanted to find out about the program. Eric, show the video. Yeah.
Hello, you have reached Christine Chamberlain at the Virginia Department for Aging and Rehabilitative Services in the Community-Based Services Division. I'm out of the office or away from my desk. If you are calling for information on the Virginia Lifespan Respite Voucher Program, please go to our website at www.vadars.org. When you get to the home page, click on the Services link, and it will take you to the Our Services page. You will see an area that says Respite Services, and within that area, it explains how to apply. And there are downloadable application forms, a procedure form for how to apply, respite caregiver resources, as well as respite caregiver resource websites. If you still have questions on this, you can leave me a message, and I will get back to you at my earliest convenience. Thank you, and have a great day.
Record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up or hold for more options.
Great. Well, thanks for the information. I think you gave me everything I need. Thanks. Bye.
find out about stuff. It's like your program, Mark. I mean, you say it's
Absolutely.
all online, right?
Absolutely.
And you just fill it out. You have a problem, you give me a call, you get Mark, right?
Absolutely. Directly.
Yeah, and most people, I travel around the country, they think of Washington as something, or the government is some boogeyman or something. And you and I know that every fat cat in this country using the hell out of this stuff.
That's true.
This is
But they say information is power, right?
Absolutely. So how do we get the average person on the street? Now, here's another little interesting money-making item that, Eric, put the next one on now. This is something that I don't know if this is a good thing to do or not. But you can make like $250,000 turning in your tax cheat boss. Yeah.
Very nice.
Or your neighbor, driving around that Mercedes, and he's only a GS5 or whatever. Yeah. Where do you get all that money? Or whatever. Yeah. That the IRS has a program. You turn these people in, and you get up to 30% of the money they get. 30% of the money. and you can do it anonymously, too. I mean, if you don't, but then you can't collect. So here are the forms, okay. And there's over like $400 billion. There's the price of Medicaid again. If we get all these tax sheets, to pay, we don't have a healthcare problem anymore. So if you suspect or know of an individual or business not complying with the tax laws, you could get up to 30% of what the government collects. Now, that's a nice payday, yeah. And there's some stories of people who really got millions, yeah. Right.
Wasn't there a famous case recently where a gentleman was able to identify offshore accounts where folks were in the pay?
Yes, right. And they're right. I think maybe that's what I was reading about. He got literally millions.
That was even on 60 Minutes.
Right,
so.
right.
Absolutely.
Well, even the deli down the street is probably skimming or something if you want to make a few bucks. But there's the IRS form 49A, or you could send a letter. And there's the form if you want to get the reward. Now, you go to irs.gov, but here's another interesting group. And what's interesting to me about the way our organization, our country's organized, there's a nonprofit organization that helps you with this kind of stuff. So if you're interested, you want to know more about the details of filing, somebody who's, ripping off the IRS or something, there's, Taxpayers Against Fraud Education Fund. Well, that's a nonprofit.
Well, the nonprofits, the genesis of being a nonprofit is to serve the public good. That's what I understand about it.
Exactly.
That's really good. We also have some real live grants that are available right now for folks who are interested. Would you want me to say anything about that?
Oh, absolutely. No. I want to apply tomorrow. Yes. What do you got?
Okay, let me just run up.
This is like the deli. What's behind the counter here?
Ham and cheese.
Yeah, right.
But in our funding alert, which comes out every week, and again, I can't stress enough for folks to please.
So anybody can, for anywhere around the country.
As long as you have access to the internet,
right.
You go to www.opgs.dc.gov.
Okay.
Put your email address in.
And you get this weekly about
week.
funds. And it's for national funding, too. So.
National, local, whatever.
Right.
But, for example, right now, there's a grant called the Youth Running Programs Grant.
Youth Running
Programs, keep you in shape.
Uh-huh.
ING Run for Something Better is the funder. They're announcing funds to support school-based running programs designed to fight childhood obesity and improve the self-esteem, school performance, and overall well-being of children in grades K through 8.
Well, wow. So you have a kid in 8th grade, you go to your school and say, hey, let's get some of this money.
Right. So now who's eligible? Independent school districts, local educational agencies. They have up to $25,000 in funds available, and the deadline is not until May 15th, 2000.
May 15th.
So they have time if they're interested in it. Then we also have, and not only in the District of Columbia, but across the country, we have quite a number of folks who are returning home, not only from
vets?
I'm talking about folks who are ex-offenders.
I see, yes.
They're coming back home.
Well, that's an important population.
It's
big, man.
Very important population in the District of Columbia.
It's our only housing program left.
So the Department of Justice has a grant for nonprofit organizations. It's called the Second Chance Adult Mentoring and Transitional Services for Successful Reentry Programs. Long title, but the funds are used to provide services to the increasing number of incarcerated adults who are released from prison, jail, and juvenile residential facilities and returning to their communities. This is up to $300,000 are available. The deadline for this is the 21st of March, 2013.
So the 300 is per program, or that's a total amount?
It says awards up to. So
okay, awards up to 300
grand.
grand.
Up to 300,000.
So I ran into a woman the other day. She wanted to get involved in women who are, ex-offenders and help something. So this would be something. And so you have to just be a nonprofit. She'd have to find a nonprofit to work with.
And you go to our website, or you go to grants.gov, you go to the Department of Justice, and you begin to find out what's in, what are the eligibility requirements for the grant, and then you look at what are the conditions for applying for a federal grant. And you probably want to get some help, some real help, to help you to get through that process.
And where would that be? I mean,
where would the help be?
Yeah, where would you suggest?
Like in our area, for example, we have a group called the Community Foundation for the National Capital Region. It's a community group. They have a lot of programs to help nonprofits and their funders who they represent to make sure that the money is spent wisely. So, for example, if you're say you're a community-based organization,
right,
or you're waiting on your 501c3,
right,
you filed your 1023,
right,
the Community Foundation for the National Capital Region, in certain cases, can be your what's the word I'm looking for? So your liaison with the funders, because they have their 501. So there are groups like that who can help some of these organizations. That's not all they do,
right? But
there's information that they can provide as it relates to technical assistance. And then you also want to find out in your community who's providing similar services. As I said earlier, and I strongly believe this, everybody that wants to help provide a public good doesn't have to be a nonprofit.
Right.
So learn how to work with your nonprofit and community-based and your faith-based organizations,
right,
and then see how you can
So if you
connect.
want to help ex-offenders, you could find enough people in your community that are already nonprofits to partner with to go get them
it's a
in.
big deal. And these second chance grants are recurring grants.
So
if
you
miss
can live off for a long time.
You come back next year. and then the last one I wanted to mention, I don't want to take too much time, but there's something called Small Steps in Speech Grants. It's by an organization called the Small Steps in Speech Foundation. Funds to provide financial support for child-specific services, therapies, and treatments needed to improve individual children's communications abilities. This grant closes. It's for only nonprofit, but it closes on the 8th of March. So you got a little bit of time on that.
Great.
So the things that are available for you.
Well, listen, you guys have been terrific. Thanks for hanging in here for the whole show. And now you people out there, I hope you understand now what grants really are all about. And get on these websites, and learn. And don't give money to people when you could get it for free.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
One of the most common questions we get is that people say, hey, where's the grant application? Well, it's a little more complicated than that. There's companies out there telling you, just join our service. We got the application, fill out the application, and we'll get you the money. That's nonsense. No one can get you the money but you. The only people who could give you a grant application is the government. And there's like our resources. We have 17,000 programs. Every program has a different application, so don't worry about the applications. If you're thinking a little bit now, you can go right to Lesko.com, and up on the top we have a button there that says, "Where's the application?" Press that, and you'll see, because it'll tell you a little more. It'll show you sample grant applications. It'll show you that 80% of grant applications are just like 2-3 pages, fill in the blanks. So you don't even have to worry about the grant application. Not until you know where you're going to apply. So, read that section. You'll see samples of successful applications, like people who got $5,000 to play their, banjo for the next 5 years or something like that. And you'll see, this is written out in crayon even. And the guy got the money, and that was a government program. So don't worry about those kinds of things yet. You have to spend your effort initially finding the right program to to apply to. So no, I mean, we have some of the applications, but even if we had all of them, they change all the time. So you have to go to the office that has the application, in your state, in your locality, to make sure you're applying to the right thing. So there's no private company, one, that could give you all these applications. Number two, guarantee that you're going to get the money. The government is the only one place. So that's the facts about application.
Be authentic and use the ink well on the paper. MCs on the caper. They keep telling me I'm better than most. The veteran toast for me is here. I'm like the weekend. You can't wait to get to me. Plus I rise over any occasion. Telepathy.